This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is Mark Souza. We got stuff to talk about in the world of sports, mostly NBA stuff. Then we got some NFL stuff like rule changes and whatnot, and then other news and corps we usually take at the end of the end of the podcast. Wow, I just had a little stutter there. That was weird. Anyways, moving on. Let's just go right into the NBA. So should we talk about Harden's record continuing, or should we talk about Klay Thompson breaking another record?
I'd say we talk about the rookie with an impressive
night. Doncic, that's right. He had his first triple-double. He is the second youngest player to record a triple-double.
Who's the youngest?
I believe that was LeBron. I could be wrong,
It is not.
Who is it?
Markelle Fultz.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. So did everybody else.
Luka is the second teenager ever to record a triple-double in the NBA.
It's really crazy how he's a teenager. Like, he doesn't look like a teenager to me.
Yes. So he's obviously the clear favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. What I liked about him yesterday was he was not at all satisfied with his game. He
wanted to get better, yeah.
He was the first one to say that he thought he played like crap, which
he didn't.
I thought was very mature of him to say after recording
18. Or you go.
Yeah, after recording a triple-double. I mean, it's easy for him to kind of, get – he's a rookie. You see, I had a good night, whatever, but their team loses by 10 to the Bucks. Not a bad team to lose to at all. Obviously, quote-unquote good loss there when you lose to the Bucks. But, I like the maturity and the attitude.
Yeah, and you got to look at the other side, like the Bucks. Yes, they did win. Giannis with another 31-point, 15-rebound game. Again, another dominating performance by him. Hence, one of the reasons he's still up there for MVP candidacy next to Harden. It's really hard to stop that man.
Yeah, absolutely.
31-15. Like, when we say like supporting cast for a lot of the MVP candidates, like, does Giannis have the worst supporting cast of anybody that's up for MVP?
Harden's supporting cast is not that great.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, like, with Chris Paul going to return, maybe we'll see if he returns.
I don't know.
It's between them two, right?
The Rockets' roster is just not very good. I mean, they just signed Kenneth Faried to help them and to start, and he hasn't played in like 2 years. So
this is true.
I don't know. Yes, they've had injuries, but when was the last time you saw Chris Paul play? I feel like it's been months. Like I don't even know how many games.
Was he even playing on Christmas?
I can't remember the last time he played.
I can't either, to be honest with you. And that's a serious problem. Like, if he's not back, if he's out for the season, I don't know what his condition is. I don't think anyone really knows what his condition is. But if he's out for the season, they're dead in the water if they make the playoffs. Because Harden can't do this in a 7-game series.
They actually, the Rockets expect or hope, not expect, I should say, they're hopeful.
Cross their fingers,
that Paul could be back by the end of this week or early next week. He has a hamstring issue. He's had a hamstring issue this entire time. But
if it's this entire time hamstring, that feels like it should be like a tear, no?
I honestly do not remember when he got injured. I'm not even kidding. I could not tell you when he
I think it's either November or December.
I think it's because of Harden just going off. It just feels like he's been out forever, because Harden's just been doing crazy, crazy things in the last, 20 games now? He has over 30 points. We'll talk about that more later.
I think everyone's lost track.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I can't remember when he got injured. I'm actually going to look that up right now. But going back to Luka, I think we can both say definitively this is the first triple-double of many triple-doubles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
he can do it all.
He has serious potential.
Harden's played 26 games this year. And let's see. Last time he played was December the 20th.
Not even Christmas. That's a long period of time.
Yep. He played 4.
So how can you not think he tore a hamstring or some sort of more serious injury than just his hamstrings bothering him? Quote unquote?
Well, it's been a month, so maybe he's had a hamstring injury that they're just being super careful with. He's injury prone, so I don't know. Maybe they're thinking what you're thinking. You just mentioned this team won't be able to do anything in the playoffs without Chris Paul, so they're thinking, okay, well, we're actually winning games right now, and we're doing pretty good.
That makes sense.
So why don't we just hold off maybe another week or two, buy some time a little bit to make sure he comes back fully ready? I don't know. He's obviously important for them.
Yeah, yeah, of course he is. He has to be.
I don't know if he actually helps them win more than they are right now, to be honest, because Harden's just
but
so
he's
good.
obviously going to be a factor in the playoffs. Like, he has to be. Like, you got to have someone else besides Harden with the ball.
Yeah.
Like,
we've seen Harden kind of
flame
out in the playoffs a little bit.
Yeah, like one of the reasons why the Warriors are so dominant in the playoffs is if one guy's not hot, like Clay, for example, or Curry, another guy's just going to come in and be hot. Like, that's why they're so dangerous. Like, anyone can be hot at any time. But if Harden's not hot when it comes down to the Rockets, then they're dead in the water.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, Harden, again, he just had his 20th 30-point game in a row last night. You know, his team got killed, but he continues.
Do you see him clipping his nails on the bench?
No.
He was so bored, he was clipping his nails on the bench.
Is that like something he does, though, or is that a thing of boredom? Because, like, you remember Mike Bibby used to do that every game?
Oh, I actually didn't.
Mike Bibby used to, every time he got subbed out in the first quarter, he'd clip his nails on the sideline.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, he's. I don't know.
That's an
that
old...
was like a superstition type thing. Like, you know, I don't know.
I don't think this was a superstition or a regimen. I think this was just him saying, we got nothing better to do.
Well, speaking of help for Harden, the Rockets signed Kenneth Faried, who just got released by Brooklyn. So the last couple of years, Kenneth Faried hasn't played a whole lot. He started with Denver, kind of fell out of the rotation there, and then at Brooklyn, he fell out of the rotation this year. He's hardly played, but last night he played 23 minutes. They brought him in for help since Capella went down, and they clearly don't trust Marquise Chris to help them out. So
rightfully so.
Kenneth Faried, 23 minutes last night, 6 rebounds. I've always been a fan of his, and I know that he's not the greatest basketball player, but I always thought that he played very hard and was, you know, a guy who likes to get out and transition, kind of a hard person to deal with defensively. So
yeah, true.
maybe he'll add a boost to the Rockets. I think that's an underrated pickup.
Since we're talking about the Rockets blowout, we got to talk about Embiid and his monster 32-point, 14-rebound performance himself.
Yep.
And the fact that he swatted one of Harden's layups to smithereens. It looked like he swatted so hard he fell to the ground himself. They both fell. And it seemed like Embiid wanted some beef with Harden, like he wants beef with other stars in the NBA, it feels like. He's a troublemaker a little bit.
You think that, or do you think he's just an emotional guy who plays...
How many times have we heard that with so many different players, though? Is he, like...
I don't know. Has he gotten in a lot of scuffles?
Yeah, I mean, he was in a scuffle the other day as well. Like, this isn't the first case of him being in a scuffle.
I don't recall too many. I'm not sure. I mean, I know he plays hard, but he said after the game that he loves playing against guys.
Like, there was an incident with Russell Westbrook.
He said last night that he loves playing against guys who people say are better than him. So I know that he plays with like a little bit of a chip on his shoulder when he plays against guys like Harden. So,
well, there was also that time he got in a scuffle with Patrick Beverley, but Beverley is also a big trash talker himself.
Yeah.
And there was also that I don't think it was, maybe it was this year, maybe it was last year. I can't remember. But he had that Aaron Bynes guy. Yeah, he tried to fight him as well.
I like Embiid because he was not supposed to play yesterday. He's been hurt, and he told the Sixers, he told his coach, no, I'm playing. Like, we're playing the Rockets. The team needs me. And he had a big game in a game where he might have sat out normally. So props to him.
They really didn't. They really aren't they're not in desperate situation to win because they're in a very comfortable playoff spot at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think they can lose that anytime soon.
Right.
When a team like the Miami Heat is in the playoffs and they're 22-23 and the Philadelphia 76ers are 31-17, you can be very careful with the players you play.
What I found interesting about last night's Rockets-Sixers game was Corey Brewer was signed by the Sixers on a 10-day contract. He replaced Jimmy Butler in the starting lineup. And he obviously knows Harden very well as they've played against each other, or they played with each other in Houston. And he really was a pest last night for Harden. He frustrated him.
He was a little. He's like that gnat that's flying around your ear, and you're like, get away from me. Mm-hmm. But he got the job done. That's what he was on. That's what he got signed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see what happens. But now that we're talking about the Rockets, they finally have a trade partner for Carmelo Anthony.
Yes, they do.
He'll be sent to the Bulls and cash considerations.
Do you remember? Sorry to interrupt, but do you remember that not too long ago that he was trying to get, or the Bulls were trying to get him to make a super team with Rose and Noah?
Oh God!
And now they trade him to get rid of him for tax purposes. Oh, the tables have turned.
So now now Houston will be able to possibly sign someone else, maybe help them avoid a little bit of the luxury tax, while the Bulls, I'm not sure what they're getting out of it just yet, the trade. I'm not sure if it's official yet. It will be official today because I did find this interesting. They agreed to the trade yesterday, but because the NBA offices were closed due to the holiday, they could not complete the trade until today. So, I mean, people out there who maybe they needed to get some errands done yesterday, but it was a court holiday. The NBA also had its own delay.
Not something you would expect, but yes.
It is kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. And then also you have to look at the fact, he's gone. He's most likely not even on the Bulls roster anymore by the end of the day.
Right.
They'll
waive him.
The latest is tomorrow. He's going to be off the team. And already, there's talk about the Lakers being interested. And who else do you see, trying to go for Carmelo Anthony? If do you see him playing with another team? I do, but
Lakers.
You think the Lakers
possibly a team like the Heat or the Hornets who might need a bench scorer? I don't see anybody else. He's just, at this point in his career, he's an inefficient player who has to be the right fit because he plays a certain way. He can't just adapt to whatever team and be effective. Yeah.
Well, there's supposedly multiple teams interested in acquiring him, but
I'd say that too if I was his agent.
Yeah, sure, just to keep him in. Hey guys, we got some offers.
Teams are interested,
Well, we just don't. We are not going to say where they're from. They could be from Spain. They could be from America.
So, did you check out that Warriors-Lakers game last night? The Warriors got a
I was
win.
I was walking to my TV, then I slipped and fell, kind of like Stephen Curry did.
Oh yeah, is that what happened?
And then I tried to shoot a deep three and completely missed. And
Thompson.
Now everybody's talking about that.
Klay Thompson set NBA record.
10 consecutive threes.
He scored 44. This game was 130-111, but don't get it twisted. It was way worse than what the score indicates because the Warriors didn't do anything in the fourth quarter after they had built such a big lead. So
this was the Klay Thompson show that day.
The Warriors had 110 at the end of the third quarter, FYI.
How absurd is that?
Yep.
This ain't that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, so 130-111, the Lakers fall to 25-23, still without LeBron, still without Rondo, and now without Lonzo Ball. But the Lakers expect Rondo back this week. They say he'll play Thursday.
I think the Lakers logo should have a crutch on it, too.
Yeah. It's all nice and all that Rondo's coming back, but
they don't have anyone
Laker
else.
fans, I think, are not worried about Rondo. They're wondering when LeBron will come back because I don't know if Rondo really helps them in the short term.
No, not at all. I agree with you. And we don't know, like, some people are saying he won't be back till after the All-Star break. Some people are saying before. Like, we don't really know exactly the timeline for his return. And they are losing playoff opportunity quicker and quicker as the weeks go on.
This is true. Right now they're right there, so I don't think they're worried yet. But if they fall a couple more games out of the playoffs,
Because
then it might become a
we've
thing.
talked about this. This is the West. They could lose that. Like, they're in the 9th seed, I believe, last time I checked.
Yes.
And
they're right there, too. They're like a half game out.
yeah, and they could lose that spot so quickly, though, because it's the West, like we talked about.
Yeah.
1 week they could be right there.
I know
Next
they're not
week they
worried
could be
yet
dropped.
because they're only 1 game out of 7th. They're actually 2 games out of 6, the Lakers, that is. So I know they want LeBron back, but in terms of a situation, it is not dire just yet.
Yeah, but it could very well could be in the future.
I still think that New Orleans being 3.5 games out of 8, I think that team could make some noise. We'll see what they do in the coming weeks in terms of improving their status in the Western Conference. Tonight, actually, the Blazers and the Thunder play. That's a big game in the West. Clippers and Mavericks also, so we'll see if Luka can will his team to a win. Whether or not he'll get a triple-double remains to be seen. They are on a back-to-back, so tough night for them. Not a whole lot of NBA action going on tonight. Kings play the Raptors in Toronto. Kings got crushed last night in Brooklyn. But yeah, Celtics got a win last night, 107-99.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a big win, a much-needed win, obviously. And, you know...
4th straight win for him.
Yeah, that's a big
Kyrie
win.
had 26 and 10 assists.
Yeah, and like we were telling like maybe last week, I'm not sure, maybe 2 weeks out, the Celtics, we were questioning like why they were dropping so low because of the fact that we were all talking about how they should be first in the East by this point, but now they're fighting for the 5th place. And this was a win against what's my most likely might be a playoff team, but in this case, they need these wins. They need to prove to maybe not to us, but maybe even to themselves that they are still an elite team in the East. But it's still to be determined.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they're playing better, so maybe they'll ride this wave.
I mean, like since that text or that call that Kyrie made to LeBron, it seems like there's been a lot of doubts with this team. Because that was like, oh, he doesn't really know how to be a leader, or this is getting too much for him.
Yeah, I found that whole situation a little bit weird.
I think everyone did.
Kind of feel like he was taking a shot at players on his team, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of an insult to his teammates. Yeah, I could totally see that.
We'll see. The Celtics are on a 4-game winning streak, so maybe that's kind of what they needed to galvanize the team. It remains to be seen, but what do you say we hit a break and come back and talk about possible NFL rule changes?
Sure, we can do that, and we will be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just rounded up a little bit what's happened in the NBA. And now let's move on to the NFL as we were talking about rule changes and what needs to be made. We believe what needs to be made by next season. But there is already talks about possible pass interference calls being reviewable. And I think it's all because of the fact of the Saints and Rams game and what happened at the end of the game and what the outcome became. So I will ask you, Mark, do you believe that pass interference calls should be able to be reviewed?
Yeah. I think anything should be allowed to be reviewed, to be honest.
You mean like any penalty of some
anything.
kind?
Literally anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound crazy, but I know Belichick's been pushing for that for years. Every year he goes to the league meeting and says we should have everything be able to be reviewed, and I don't see why he's wrong. I really don't.
No, yeah. But wouldn't that make so many different should they would review every single play?
Well, I think they can still limit how many challenges you get.
Mm-hmm.
You can have everything reviewable, but still only allow two challenges.
Well, the 2 minute after the 2 minutes, it's like the booth would review almost every play. Then that in theory.
I mean, what's the point in replay? What is the actual point? What is the theory about replay?
Well, to make sure the right call was made.
To get the major calls right?
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, so me... Okay, I see what you're saying.
The whole point of replay, to me, is to get the calls right, to limit the effect of a bad call can make on the outcome of a game. Yeah, you're not going to have calls every play replayed. Was that a hold? Was that not a hold? Things like that. But, you got to replay it, right? Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the Patriots-Chiefs game?
Yes.
That happened 2 days ago. The Chiefs' interception that was no good because of a defensive offsides.
Mm-hmm.
What if that was not an offsides? Let's just don't actually think of the play.
It was a no call.
Think of if the guy was not offside, they called him offside, and the interception came back. That would be something that I think should be reviewed, right? No, he actually was not offside. The play should stand,
Okay, that's
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know it wasn't an issue at the time. I'm just bringing up...
Because it was obvious. He was 4 or 5 yards.
Exactly. He was obvious. Nobody's going to complain
Obviously,
about
he was not
that.
4 or 5 yards off.
But let's just say D. Ford wasn't offside, but the referee thought he was. You're telling me that wouldn't have changed the game drastically? It definitely would. Going back to the Rams and the Saints, as we sit here today, after we've heard everybody talk about that was the worst call ever, the Saints got screwed, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why they shouldn't be allowed to challenge that. I don't see why the referees under 2 minutes can't review that. The whole point is to get
booth
the
can,
yeah. New York, they should have buzzed it down. I mean, I know they can't based on the rules, but if they had the ability,
that would change so many different games, and maybe for the better.
But that's what it's for, right? Replay is for challenging, changing calls.
Yeah,
that are wrong.
some networks have a referee that tells us what the rules are and what the calls should be made. So shouldn't they have an NFL referee part of the NFL network, or maybe not the NFL network, just the NFL in general, to be able to call in New York or whatever to say,
CBS calls them. CBS goes, hey.
Well, you know what I mean. Just for a referee, just for the NFL, it's safe. A network ref, or
I know what you're saying.
Maybe that would help, but it could change a lot of outcomes, and it would make the refs look less like everyone hates them.
Yeah. So I read the headline too, like you did this morning, how. Pass interference calls are now, they're going to discuss again if that should be a challengeable play. That I know that's a topic now because the Saints-Rams outcome. But don't you kind of think it's a little bit short? Don't you think they're stopping a little bit short by not just saying, why don't we just challenge everything? I mean, it doesn't mean... I'm not saying every play should be challenged. I think there still should be limits to how many challenges a coach gets. But still, they already challenge every touchdown, right? Or they review every touchdown. Referees.
Yes, they have to.
Or turnovers, right?
Scoring and turnover plays are always reviewed.
So they've already determined So when replay first started, they didn't have that opportunity, right? And they've already tweaked the rules to now they're going to check every touchdown, every scoring play to make sure they got it right. They added that into it. Yeah, I think they should allow coaches to challenge whatever. And if you're going to challenge an offside call in the first quarter, if you're going to do that, then you should be allowed to, I think. I don't know.
Obviously, I don't think someone would risk a challenge just for that, but granted.
I mean,
unless it was
knows?
like an interceptor return for a touchdown type of thing.
Or what if, let me ask you this, Jeff. What if your team had 3rd and goal on the 1-yard line and you got called for a false start, but it was actually a defensive offside? So the call on the field put you at 3rd and goal from the 6. You might challenge a false start. It might be something worth challenging, right?
True.
It just depends on the scenario. I know you're not going to challenge most offside calls, but I mean, it might depend on the scenario. Hear me out.
When they do like a scoring review and the turnover review, can they look at if any penalties happen, like the whole series, just really quick, and see if they spotted any penalties they missed?
They cannot under their current rules. I
meant should that change? The rule change is what I'm saying.
So
if we were talking about pass
interference,
interference,
asking me is if a touchdown occurred, but the offensive team did something, should have been called for a penalty of some sort. Is that what you're asking me? And
like we were talking about how coaches should challenge it, but what about like automatic reviews? Like,
you know what? I hate to change sports, but NBA, they when they challenge to see if a basket was made or not, or like if the guy stepped out of bounds, they can't challenge if he was fouled, which I think is ridiculous. Like if the referees go, know how if the referees go to the replay and they say the ball went off of you, but I fouled you, and the reason why the ball went off of you is because I hit you from behind, knocking you into the ball. They can't give you the ball and say I fouled you. They only can say, well, yes, he was hit, but Jeff still touched the ball last, so it's the other team's ball. It's Mark's ball. Like I always find that ridiculous, right? So I kind of see what you're saying about that. Yeah, I think the purpose of replay is to get the call right. Like that's why we have it. We don't have it to sometimes we could get it right and sometimes we can't. You know, like that's weird to me. But how about a possible rule change that I think everybody will be talking about here in the coming weeks, coming months? Overtime.
Okay, what about overtime?
I don't understand how the NFL doesn't allow both teams to get the ball in overtime.
Regardless if they score a touchdown or not?
Regardless.
But that doesn't make the first possession nearly as important or as special, you know?
Is the NFL the only sport where whoever gets the ball, like it matters in overtime in any sport? No. Does it matter in any other sport? What if basketball, it was first team to score wins?
That would be chaos.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a different game, I get it. There's more scoring in basketball. It's back and forth.
Obviously.
Or what if it was 1st to 5?
I would say 1st to 10 if it was anything. If I had to change it like that. But I get what you're saying. It would change.
Why does college get this rule right and NFL get it so wrong? Like, why don't they just do... Are they just afraid of admitting college has it right? Like, what is the problem?
I think if they change it to college rules, it would feel a little almost amateur. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it feels almost like you're going backwards if you're trying to copy what college football does. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be for the best, absolutely, if they went in that direction and did just exactly college rules for overtime. But I don't think those overtime rules are changing.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? Do you think that in overtime both teams should get the ball?
Well,
no matter what?
I don't like the excuse of like what Chiefs fans were saying, like, oh, Mahomes never got the opportunity. Well, to be honest, the Chiefs gave up a bunch of 3rd and 10s. So it wasn't like he never got an opportunity. They had a chance to stop them on a 3rd down, but like 4 times they didn't.
Right. I get all that. Do you think both teams should have the ball in overtime in football?
It's hard to say, but I'm neutral when it comes to this. Like I'm okay with the current the current system, and I like the fact you don't just kick a field goal to win the game anymore. I hated that before, but I like the fact if you kick a field goal, the other team gets a chance. And I also would be all for this 20-yard line or like how we do it now. Just if they do kickoffs and everything like that, and even if they score a touchdown, the other team gets a chance, I'll be all for that too. I wouldn't want them to start at the 20-yard line, make it or take it.
So if I understand you correctly, you're cool with both teams. Like if one team scores the first possession, the other team gets the ball, but after that, sudden death. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
I got you correct.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I got your point right.
Basically, I like how they do the kickoffs and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Just if they score a touchdown and the other team gets a chance, I'm all for it. But if they keep it this way, I'm like how they is now, I'm all for it too.
Just imagine,
or do you want it? Or do you think it's better? Do you think it's better to what they do it now? Just start at the 20-yard line.
Didn't you want to see? Be honest with me. Mm-hmm. Don't you want to know what would have happened if Mahomes got the ball?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But do you want them just to start the 20-yard line in college or something of that?
They start at is it the 25? I think it's the 25.
25?
Yeah.
Do you want it like that, or do you want it like how I said? And they after the Patriots score,
I'm
they
actually
kick it off.
down with eliminating the kickoff from overtime, honestly. But I don't think they should start that close. I would
Like,
say 50.
say
the 50.
The 50? Okay. Let's have them go 45 in their own territory.
Either way, like around midfield, because you're not guaranteed a field goal if you don't do anything. So, I mean, I think because in college, I think it's too close, and that's why the games can go like 7 overtime.
That's what I want to avoid in the NFL.
Because you're pretty much guaranteeing that a team's going to score every time they get the ball.
It sounds awesome. Oh, 7 overtimes. But in reality, it's like, no, it's just like, it's like less than a quarter how much they play.
So, argument against allowing both teams to get an equal number of possessions college.
We will say, the college rules will make it farther.
So the argument that I can see the NFL saying we're not doing the college overtime is safety. We don't want the games going long, okay? So
safety? Is that?
Yeah, because you don't want overtime lasting 6 overtimes where they already reduced overtime. Remember, they moved it from 15 to 10 minutes. That's why there's more ties.
Well, except in the playoffs where there's 15
now. There's 15. But it doesn't matter because you can't end a game in a tie in the playoffs, so they just have to keep playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the argument would be we don't want for player safety, quote unquote, even though we know that that's the biggest bunch of BS that the NFL spews at us all the time when they don't want to make a rule change is player safety because they still let players play on Thursday night. We could go on a different rant, but you know what I mean. Anyways, what would another argument be? Well, I don't know. Would there be another argument to not let this happen other than we don't want the games going 5 overtimes?
I don't know. That's tough.
I don't see one. So if the NFL said, look, we don't want the players playing for 85 minutes, we don't want them to play 60 and then another 25 in a regular season game. Okay, then concede and say, okay, fine, leave the overtime the way it is in the regular season. But in the playoffs,
change it to what you're saying.
In the playoffs, it should be equal number of possessions because we're talking about. Okay, I'm going to say this from a soccer mentality, okay? Because I'm a big soccer guy.
Sure.
Everybody hates how a soccer game ends in penalty kicks. Nobody likes it. I don't like it because it's such a microcosm of the actual game that it's like shooting free throws to see who loses, right? In basketball.
It's fun when you play like FIFA.
But at least, Jeff, soccer, both teams get the chance to have their own, to make their own fate, to decide their own fate.
There's a fair outcome, if you will.
They decide their own fate. You get to kick, I get to kick. Mm-hmm. If you don't like that's what we're doing to end the game, fair. But at least you get a chance to win just as much as I do. If you lose the coin toss in a playoff game,
you lose the game, most likely.
Let me ask you this. Would the Chiefs let me ask you, I actually have a question. This might sound ridiculous. Maybe I'm stupid for asking you, but let me ask you this.
Okay.
What if I said, Jeff, you're the number one, that we're talking about NFL again. Jeff, you're the number 1 seed.
Got it.
I'm the number 2 seed. Mm-hmm. Jeff, you have the option of playing your AFC Championship game at home, or you can play on the road and guarantee that if you go to overtime, you get the ball first.
Well,
you would play at home.
That's asking.
You would play
at
home, but isn't it interesting that you kind of thought about it for a second?
Well, the thing is with that is you got to think of a lot at you thinking, oh, this game's going to go to overtime. You can't think that. You got to think you can end this in 4 quarters. So I would still play at home.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean the Patriots would automatically get the ball to start the overtime if you're saying that's the rule?
Say that one more time.
So now, like you're saying, the rule is the away team gets the ball first, regardless.
I just think that.
Was that what you're saying? I'm asking.
No. Not that. Not that it would be a guaranteed. Like, I wasn't saying if you play at home, then you guarantee the away team getting the ball first. But isn't it funny how big of a factor winning that coin toss is? Like, it shouldn't be that big of a factor, right?
Well, I said this like yesterday.
It's literally a 50-50 that you cannot control. So, like in soccer.
I said this yesterday. Like I said, like while watching the game, whoever gets the coin toss is winning the game.
So let me tell you this, Jeff. Like in soccer, penalty kicks to decide a game suck. Penalty kicks to decide a World Cup suck. But if I win the coin toss in a penalty kick shootout, I can choose if I want to kick first or second. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you get to kick the same number of times.
It's not that big of a factor.
It's like in NBA in the overtime. If the NBA Finals Game 7 came to an overtime, what happens when they start the overtime? They do a tip, right?
Right.
But if you lose the tip, you're still going to get the ball. Maybe you get the ball one less time because that's just how it ends.
Right.
But you're still going to get the chance to
And it's not
win.
first score.
Right. Can you imagine, though, if NBA was 1st to 7, how important the tip would be in overtime?
How crazy, like, you know how many fouls that would happen?
Think about this. We're starting a new rule, Jeff, in the NBA. 1st to 7 in overtime wins because we don't want players playing. We don't want them getting too tired, especially on back-to-backs and things like that. 1st to 7. Okay, the tip is hugely important. You put your tallest guy on the court who might not even be a good player for that tip. Then he tips it to your team. You run the first play. What do? You run a 3. Absolutely. You try and hit a 3 on the first play. Then you only need 4 more points to win. It would change the entire strategy, right?
Yeah, I would. But
I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think overtime needs a change in the NFL. What do you think? Yes or no?
I mean, I'm for it. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to say,
do you think it should at least change in playoffs?
Absolutely.
Like, at least the elimination games.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to see a Super Bowl end where one team gets the ball and overtime the other team doesn't get the ball?
God, I can't imagine that actually happening
But
somewhere.
Can you imagine a Super Bowl ending with both teams getting the ball? One quarterback trying to outdo the other.
That would change Super Bowl 51.
That would be awesome, though, wouldn't it?
So, if we use your theory for the only overtime game in Super Bowl history was Falcons and Patriots a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
James White scores that touchdown. Game's not over yet. Give the ball to Matt Ryan.
I don't remember. Was that the first possession? I don't remember.
That was the first possession.
Gotcha.
Matt Ryan never got the ball in overtime. So you give Matt Ryan the ball in this alternate timeline. Do you see them scoring on that possession?
I have no idea.
Because
you're right.
Was 28-3. They did let 25. They did let 25 unanswered. So they were not looking momentum-wise very good.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were close, and Kyle Shanahan made those questionable calls of pass game when you were in field goal range, and that would have sealed the game. But who knows what would have happened if Matt Ryan got that ball? Because Julio Jones was on a tear at that time where no one was able to stop him.
Yeah, who knows what happens, but then those questions aren't left unanswered when you just change it.
True.
I don't know, man.
And the
college overtime has it right. Now, should they move back a little bit? Probably.
I'd say another 20 yards.
But at least they have the idea right. Like,
yeah.
In terms of fairness, it doesn't get more fair than that, right?
Well, both teams getting the opportunity? Absolutely.
And you know what, Jeff? If you want to end the game in overtime on your first possession, you have that right. If you want to go for 2 and end it right there, you have that right.
But I get it also, the fact, like, the Chiefs fans say, would Patrick Mahomes got the ball? Well, like I said before, he had the chance. The defense just couldn't stop him on third down 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's 4 times you could have stopped him on third down and you let them get first downs. And they were not like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. They were like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and so on. So I'm not saying the Chiefs are crying foul. I'm saying they definitely are one of the things in where they have the opportunity and blew it.
Yeah. All right. So I think we should go to break.
Yes, I think we should.
We have all types of different fun things to talk about when we return, including somebody passing out in a drive-thru. How about tax evasion. How about cheap food and drinks? Everybody likes that. And some sad news in England, but we can do all that when we return.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about the NFL rules and maybe what should change, especially in overtime circumstances. Now moving on to other news in the world of sports. And Darren McFadden is in the news yet again, as he was arrested for a DWI while passing out in a drive-thru.
Happens to the best of us, doesn't it?
That's never happened to me before.
Oh, really?
No.
Like this week? Or
No, never.
Oh.
I'm usually very aware because I'm excited to get my food.
What? Let's
What?
see.
Do you know what the drive-thru was?
I do. I was going to ask you. I was going to say... What?
Taco Bell?
No.
McDonald's.
Something not as generic.
El Pollo Loco.
No.
I'll
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Definitely American food.
Wiener Schnitzel.
No. That's a good guess. I like that. I see what you were doing with that based on my hint.
So burgers.
It was not hot dogs. Yes, burgers.
I don't know. Does Five Guys have a drive-thru?
So he was in Texas, and this is a very Texas place. Although it's everywhere.
It's a barbecue place. It sounds like.
I think it's everywhere. I don't think we have
Just
one
say
in
it.
California.
Just say it.
It's a popular
Is it
hamburger
barbecue?
chain. It's a
Burgers?
popular hamburger chain. I don't think we have one in California. If we do, it's not in Sacramento.
Five Guys?
We have
a Five Guys?
Yeah, we have
Oh,
one in
actually-
Natomas. I used to go there all the time.
Oh, it's in Natomas. Yeah, that's far away from us.
Well, that's literally in Sacramento.
Well, I'm in Davis. I live in Davis, so that's like the opposite side.
No.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Anyways.
Let's see. We don't have it in California, so let's say, I don't know. Is the word Texas in it? I don't know. Hardee's?
All right. Well,
I know we have
it's a Whataburger.
Oh, I think we have a Whataburger.
Do we?
I think so.
I don't think I've eaten there. We have had it.
I've actually had a Whataburger before, but I prefer In-N-Out. I know that's so California generic.
It's In-N-Out. If you don't like In-N-Out, you can tweet me and tell me why, but you're dumb.
Who
Anyways.
doesn't like In-N-Out? It's the best burger place in the world.
It's people that try to say witty things online so they can be famous.
Now
and
I'm
get
going to
retweets.
have to get In-N-Out after we're done with our podcast.
You know how people are like how people were like, oh man, Bird Box was such a terrible movie. Like it wasn't
Who
terrible
said
at all.
that?
A lot of people.
Really? I liked it a lot.
But it was because it was such a big,
If The Happening was done right.
But the reason why people said that was because it was such a popular thing that happened, and then it was cool to be like, oh yeah, the movie was trash. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let me see how many retweets I get.
It really wasn't, though. It was.
I don't think it was the greatest movie. It was a good movie.
It was a very good movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's my favorite movie, but I'll say it's a really good movie. If you like The Happening, then you like this way more.
Yes. I thought it was... Okay, so on Bird Box, people were saying that the movie had a terrible ending. That's what was like, oh, this movie was not that good.
It's not a terrible ending. It's a happy ending.
The ending was good. The ending was good. It made sense. It wasn't like... What did people expect?
You can call it a happy ending. You know?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
I like it.
So Darren McFadden passed out in a Whataburger. He got a DWI, so not funny.
What was it?
He was the fourth overall pick in the 2008 draft, by the way.
Well, wasn't he? And he was a Heisman winner, right?
Was he?
I thought he was.
I don't know, but we don't know what he had in his system. He was just arrested for a DWI.
I'm assuming there's going to be multiple cocktails. I'm going to say that's my guess.
Yeah, he was facing charges of driving while intoxicated and resisting arrest.
Oh, I'm sorry. He did not win the Heisman Trophy. He won the Walter Camp Award.
Is that for running back?
I believe that is Walter running back.
Yeah. So he also resisted arrest. Not good.
Oh, it's a Player of the Year award. So it's kind of like the Heisman. So.
Interesting news about the Super Bowl. So you know how Atlanta is. They got some buzz last year. They got some good PR when they announced that they would reduce prices for food and drinks at their stadium. $2 hot dogs, $5 beers, $2 sodas, $4 hamburgers, and things like that.
Yeah, we need to go to Atlanta.
And we were all like, dude, are you kidding me? You go to a sporting event in California, it's like $10 at least for a hamburger, $12 for a beer. For sure.
I think we need to go to Atlanta Falcons game.
But here's the story, Jeff, and you can go to it. You can. The Super Bowl is in Atlanta, and it was just announced that they will not be raising food and drink prices for the Super Bowl. Even though people are spending tons and tons of money to go to the game, you'd think that the prices, they would just gouge you at the stadium like they always do. They will not be doing it. How awesome is that?
That's pretty awesome.
A win for the little guy, huh? Although nobody's going to the Super Bowl as a little guy. Let's be honest.
You got to be pretty darn big to get a ticket to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so anyways, they will not be raising their prices. That's cool. That's awesome, man.
I don't think they need to. You know what I mean? It's
You don't think they need to? Yeah, they don't. All right, let's talk about Ronaldo.
Oh, yes.
Soccer superstar.
Mr. Tax Invader.
Evader or Invader?
I don't know.
Did you say Invader?
I said Evader.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Invader.
He invaded my taxes.
That's what it sounded
He
like.
paid my taxes. Very nice guy. No.
Go to jail. He will avoid any jail time because he's paying his $22 million tax evasion penalty.
I wish I had $22 million to spend to be like, and I still have plenty of money.
I want to tell our listeners, if they don't know this, if you're a big soccer fan, you do. Tax evasion, and tax fraud, and all that in Spain is like a thing. Like everyone gets charged with this. Messi's been charged.
I love that you say it's like a thing. Like it's
Neymar has been charged.
You know what the cool kids are doing in Spain?
No,
tax
it really
evasion.
is. I guarantee you, if you put a list of athletes that have been charged with tax evasion, the list would dominate the non-list. Would just dominate them in any sport.
Okay.
I think Rafael Nadal has been charged with tax evasion. Everybody who's Spanish or playing professionally in Spain gets charged with this. So I don't know.
Lives in Spain. That's
My question is, are their rules just so crappy that it's easy to break? Or does everybody just hire the same person and try and take advantage of the laws? Like, what's going on here? Because there's something going on.
It could honestly be both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not big. I don't. Yeah, like as you're aware, I am not big on the whole taxes and how that's run in Spain. But sounds like there's some sort of how you say what's the word I'm looking for? There's a consistency with the problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something going on. But also in Spain, if you get charged with something and it has under a 2-year prison sentence, you just get probation, no matter what. You know that? If it's your first offense. If it's your second, then you can actually serve time. But if it's under a 2-year sentence and it's your first time, it's probation. So, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to affect him in any way, shape, or form.
I'm thinking no. I'm thinking that he's got a little bit of cash.
He probably already made the $22 million back somehow.
So I want to talk about Rashawn Gary. He is a possible top 5 pick, top 10 pick, more than likely. University of Michigan defensive lineman.
Oh, the beast from the north? Yeah.
He is not signing with an agent. In fact, you want to know what he's doing?
I don't like where
He
this is going.
is the founder and CEO of his own sports agency, and he's hiring people to run this thing.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That is insane.
It's pretty cool, huh?
He must be pretty intelligent, or like he's in sports marketing major to understand.
He said, this is his quote, "I always had a dream of playing in the NFL and leaving a legacy. The older I got, I understood that football is not forever. This is a step to take care of my family in the long run. Starting this agency is a way I can definitely do that in my years on the football field and the years when I'm not on the football field."
Wow,
pretty cool.
He's smart. He's no chip off. He's no underrated intelligence. That's pretty intelligent of him.
Mm-hmm. He says he's going to try and change the game.
Yeah. You know how some like people don't give no straight football players and their intelligence. Like he's pretty darn smart.
Gil Brandt, one of the NFL's top draft consultants, said, "I don't think this has ever happened before. Everybody has a new creative idea, and this is the latest one." So that's pretty cool, man. Who knows how this will go, but it's called Rashawn Gary Sports. I mean, he's keeping the name, so keeping his name. I think that's pretty cool, man. These athletes thinking about the future and not just like signing that first contract. It makes you really think that this guy has a good future in the NFL too as an athlete, because he's not just, you know how a lot of guys like these first round picks, they get that first round pick, they get that first check and they're like, I did it. And maybe they don't play as hard or like try as hard because they like,
a lot of players are like spend it incredibly quickly too.
Yeah.
They kind of waste it. And, you know, the smartest guys are the ones that still have the money 20 years after retiring, you know? And I think that goes for a lot of guys. And I understand, like, some of them never have that much money before, and they get really excited. But the smartest guys are the ones that know how to save it.
So he is 6'5", 281, going to be one of the best players in the draft, one of the best college players. He already has one player that has signed with his agency, defensive back from Bowling Green. So already got one client.
Nice. Way to start it.
Yeah. Anyways, sad news, or possible sad news, I should say. Cardiff City in English Premier League, they have signed Emiliano Sala. He just got signed by the club, and it appears that his private plane, has gone missing. They have confirmed that he was on that flight, so the plane is missing. Obviously, this is troubling news. As you know, I guess the world, in fact, searches for this plane. Plane went down apparently between France and England in the English Channel, so. You know, good thoughts sent that way. Hopefully everything's okay. But as we know, in a lot of these circumstances, they usually are not. So,
yeah, this is very, what's the word? It's uncomfortable, just on the fact of the circumstances. And you just hope everyone on that plane is okay. That's the first of our concerns. And it's pretty, like, it's almost disturbing how someone can just vanish like that.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. I think that's our show, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please tune us in tomorrow as we'll have more sports news. Hopefully we'll have more everything. Who knows what will happen, and more, maybe more Carmelo Anthony news. Maybe he'll be on a new team. Who knows? But as always, I'm Jeff Malinoff. That's Mark Souza, and we will see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.